Imagine a world where you can see Cristiano Ronaldo, Karim Benzema, N'Golo Kante, and many others, including the likes of Ruben Neves, actually playing together in the same football league. Well, that is in fact the reality of what we are going to be seeing in the upcoming 2023-24 season. But the Super League that will be housing all of these major talents, it isn't the Premier League or La Liga or Ligue 1 or the Bundesliga or Serie A or even one of the bigger leagues in another continent. No, this league is the Saudi Pro League, the Saudi Arabian Football League, that is looking very much like becoming the disruptor that European and world football did not account for, but that could very well become a key player in the world of football, just as it has started to dominate the conversation in sports beyond that. So in this video, we're going to talk about what steps it is that the Saudi Arabian, let's say, kingdom, as well as their financial arm, have been taking to ensure that they can attract the best footballers in the world, whether or not this is a sustainable plan, and why it is that Europe have more reason to fear this particular league than they have had other ones in the past, like for instance the Chinese Super League. First off, let's talk about the fact that the European, or rather that the Saudi investment arm, that is of course the PIF, have actually directly taken over the runnings of not one, not two, not three, but four of Saudi Arabia's big clubs. Which are those clubs? Well, the four biggest clubs are of course Al Ahly, Al Ittihad, Al Nasser, and Al Hilal. These four are the biggest clubs in Saudi Arabia, and therefore they have now been centralized by the PIF, or the Public Investment Fund, which is the Saudi Arabian Kingdom's financial arm. That is the body which has the most money and chooses how it is to spend the kingdom's wealth. So these clubs getting this much money means, well, it means that quite frankly, it gives them an access to unlimited funds. That is true. It also means that they can attract even top players, not just retired players or players who are looking for a payday. They can attract pretty much anyone, and that was proven by the fact that the first major signing that Saudi Arabia made was bringing Cristiano Ronaldo to Al Nasser. Yes, the money involved was astronomical, but the fact that he agreed to even come when he did want to actually continue in Europe proves that without a shadow of a doubt, Saudi Arabian clubs are making a very big splash in the world of football, and that is set to intensify considering you've seen even more big names likes of N'Golo Kante, as we mentioned, Karim Benzema, Edouard Mendy, Kalidou Koulibaly. All of these players are going over to Saudi Arabia, and it doesn't seem like it's going to stop anytime soon. Now, there is of course a parallel to be drawn between Saudi Arabia and the Chinese Super League, a league from China that promised a similar existential threat for clubs around Europe, but which actually ended up falling apart. The main reason is that it ended up falling apart mostly in about 2 or 3 years' time for a multitude of reasons. One, Chinese clubs ended up figuring out that a lot of these players were coming solely for the money and weren't really interested in the game anymore. But the other major factor that has to be mentioned is COVID-19. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic ended up stopping investment by a lot of China's companies into these football clubs. But Saudi Arabia has no such worry for two simple reasons. One, unlike in China, where it took Chinese Premier Xi Jinping, let's say, effort to convince companies to invest in the sport, here everything is run in an autonomous manner through Mohammed bin Salman, or MBS, the de facto crown prince of this city, of the country, and the de facto ruler. So everything runs through him, and if the PIF are investing heavily in football clubs, not just in Saudi Arabia but the world over, remember they do own Newcastle United as well. It does mean that they have, let's say, a clearer vision than the Chinese super clubs did, and perhaps more importantly, a lot more money. That part is definitely key, because one of the reasons that Saudi Arabia are so able to actually afford all of these extravagant signings is because the small little Gulf state is actually rich with petrochemical dollars. Now, obviously, this is in a way to reinvest that money and to perhaps maybe even in the future move away from a point where they would be reliant on fossil fuels, given the world that we're living in is soon going to be running out of those anyway. But what it also means is that it is posing a massive existential threat to football the way we know it, but in many ways, football has also, you can argue, done this to themselves due to the simple fact that with the investment or with the focus on investment and signing more players and increasing transfer fees and wages, it was always leaving the sport open to someone with even deeper pockets to come in and take over the sport. And you could very well be seeing that happen with Saudi Arabia, although I hope I'm wrong, and I hope that in a few years' time you're not going to see a Saudi-backed league end up merging with, say, FIFA, the way Live Golf merged with the PGA Golf Tour. That is, of course, my fear. You can let me know in the comments below if you fear a similar thing. And don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap the bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And don't forget to download the Sports app as well. Plus, if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos that we've done. But for now, from my side, goodbye.